Assassin's Creed Shadows, lead producer on taking 4 years to make the game. Ubisoft says the wait for Assassin's Creed Shadows was longer than Valhalla because the team gave itself the time to iterate and ensure an accurate depiction of feudal Japan. At 3 years, Assassin's Creed Valhalla was one of the series' biggest games in terms of development time, but Shadows has outgrown that by a full year. Speaking to GamesIndustry.biz, lead producer Karl Onnee explains that you could put together an Assassin's Creed game quicker than the team managed to do with Shadows, but that wouldn't necessarily lead to a great game. The developers mentioned that Assassin's Creed Shadows currently has the longest development phase of any Assassin's Creed game. It took over 4 years to develop, making it even longer than Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Karl Onnee, lead producer at Ubisoft, said, "For years, I think, is the right balance to go from conception to production and get the feedback necessary to adapt." He added that even more people are added to speed up a project, it won't provide extra time to make those changes, because it takes time to get the feedback from your players, your team, and then see what works and what doesn't and how to improve it. It's always a balance between time and costs, but the more time you have, the more you can iterate, he says. Yes, you can put more people on a project and do it in a shorter time, but that doesn't give you more time to iterate because it takes time to get the feedback from your players, your team, and then see what works and what doesn't and how to improve it. For years, I think, is the right balance to go from conception to production and get the feedback necessary to adapt. Regarding Assassin's Creed Shadows, Onnee stated, "We are trying to create a game that is as authentic as possible. It's something we take pride in." He added that while their primary goal is to appeal to a global audience, there's a particular focus on pleasing Japanese players since the game is set in Japan. Speaking about the team's efforts to achieve authentic representation, though, Onnee says it's a matter of pride for the team and also a very long process to get it right. When we build a Japanese house from feudal Japan, it is very different from, say, a French medieval house or an English one, he says. So you have to learn as artists where things go inside a feudal Japanese house. Maybe the food doesn't go there. You have to get everything you need to know and learn it. And that process is long. It's not feudal Japan, obviously, but it is good to go on site because it is only then that we realize it is very different to what we think it is. It is very interesting because when the team went there, one of the things that jumped out was the forests and how they are. We had made some forests based on the Greece landscape for Odyssey, but when we went, we noticed it was very different to what we'd done, and we had to change it. You don't necessarily find that stuff out when doing historical research. These are some of the small things that are very important, because you get a better sense of the dimensions of the building, of the culture, of monuments and shrines that are still standing today. It is important to represent all that correctly.